Hi everyone, today we'll be discussing the problem domino disaster from latest Codeforces round 742. So let's first read out what the problem says. So Alice has a grid with two rows and n columns. So you have two rows, one row and below that another row. So total two rows and n number of columns, that is you have n columns, right? And she fully covers the grid using n dominoes of size 1 cross 2. Alice may place them vertically or horizontally and each of cell should be covered by exactly one domino, right? Now she decides to show one of the rows of the grid to Bob. So she'll show one of the rows to Bob, and Bob has to figure out what the other row would look like. So let's see the test cases. So let's say that if I had been given one row and the input was like I was given u, then you need to figure out what would be below it. So it would be d, you can see, because you either your domino could be 1 cross 2 or 2 cross 1, but for the you should be having d, correct? Because you will have to place it like this, so that your all the dominoes get filled, all the 2 n dominoes get filled without be any left, right? If it was L and R in the first row, if it was given L and R, then in the second row you will again have L and R. You cannot have up and down, you cannot have U and D, right? Because left L and R is LR is horizontally, so you cannot have place U and D vertically. For LNR, if you need to have something below it, if you need to figure out the row below it, then what you will do is you will put LNR again for it. Let's take the next example. So if you have LNR, then below that you need to place LNR again, and if you have U, then below that you need to place D. So if LNR is horizontal, then you can have another horizontal LNR below it. If you have U, then you need to have a D so that it can be kept vertically, right? And if you have an LNR again, then you will put below that row, you will put again one LNR, right? Horizontally, correct? And suppose that if you were given 6 U's in the first row, then what would have happened is you cannot use LNR here because your U is there. So that means that you must be having a D, that is up and down. So what you will be placing the domino vertically. So you have UND 6 times. So that means you place all the dominoes and dominoes in a format where every domino is vertically, right? So this is clear. I'll quickly move and show it to you in terms of code. So let's say that if you had LNR, so LNR is a vertical horizontal domino, and UND is a horizontal domino. So what would happen is, if you find a string, if you find L and R, if you find either L or R, then that means that the row below it would be the exact row below it would be LNR only. But if you had, suppose that if you had U, then you will have D for it. And suppose that if you had D, that means that you will have U for it, because this is a horizontal block, this is a horizontal block, again this is a horizontal block. So if you take the string as an input, if you take the first row as an input like a string, then what will happen is, if for a particular character you find L either L or R, then you will not make any changes. You will simply let L and R do the job for you, right? But if you have U, then you will put D, and if you had D, then you will put U. That is quite simple. So that this is horizontal and this is vertical. So this is a simple solution. So let's quickly code the solution down. So what you will be given is, you will be given N. So you can take L as an input, and first we'll take ln as an input, and then we can take string also. So we'll take both n and s as an input that is given to us, and after that what we'll do is, you start iterating the string. So you start and you iterate up till n less than n, that is the length of the row that is given to you, and if for that particular row, if s of I, if that particular character is equal to capital U, then what you will do is you will take the second row that is below it, you will make it as D, right? Because these are horizontal vertical rows, right, and vertical dominoes. And else if what you will do is, if si is equal to capital D, then that means that below that, or for another row, what you need to have is, you need to have U, capital U. And let's suppose that you had been given L and R, LR, like L then R. So for that you don't need to make any change, because the row below it will be having LR only. So for that we'll not change it. So what we'll simply do is, we will print our final string. So we notice that we did not need to take any other string for this question, because we can change in the original string. I have copied the test cases, and let's see if they run or not. So let's see what it gives in terms of sample test case. So yeah, I'm getting DLR, so that is same. Let's quickly submit and see if we get accepted or not. So you can see that the answer got accepted. So we'll provide you with the code in the description, so check that out. Thank you.